continuing on the Likutei Moharan Tinyana. Close to the beginning in Os Beis. We just finished speaking about how the Rebbe says that a person's tachlis is to become charged to rule over Malachim, to rule over the angels, and it's a problem because the angels get jealous of a person, and the angels try to push a person down from his high madriga of ruling over them. So what a person needs to do is to hold on to the Shorshei Neshamas of Israel, the roots of all, the source of all the Neshamas of Israel, and through this the angels won't be able to push him down. This is what happened, we said, by Moshe Rabbeinu. Moshe Rabbeinu went up to Shamayim, and he was afraid that the angels could hurt him. And Hashem told him to hold on to underneath the Kisei Kavod. And the Kisei Kavod is the source of all the Neshamas, because all the Neshamas were created from the Kisei Kavod. And through that, the angels were not able to hurt Moshe Rabbeinu. So now we're going to show how it fits into a pasuk in Bereshis. This is a little bit difficult, this understanding how every word fits in, or to follow the reading of the pasuk with the understanding of the way the Rebbe is explaining it. But we're going to go word by word, and we're going to explain each word and what it means. But if you don't understand it, don't worry. It shouldn't affect anything we're going to learn about later. In general, the Rebbe takes concepts and ideas and he shows them in stories and in psukim. And if you don't understand one of the stories, one of the psukim, and how it fits in perfectly, so then it's not a problem. Everything else should be understood. So the Rebbe says that this is the bechina of what it says in the pasuk. V'yiven Hashem es hatzela asher lakach min Adam, that Hashem built the rib that he took from man and made it into Chava. So we're going to show how this is the inyan of holding on to the Kisei Kavod, holding on to the Shorshei Neshmas Yisrael, the roots of all the Jewish people, in order to save yourself from Kinas Malachim. Now the Yiven is Rashi Tevos Uskativ Yosef B'Malkum Nema Shu B'Chenes Mimshalak Kmo Shetirgim Yonasan Al Pasuk V'Min Amayka Meheman Mishamash Pasuk Kain. So the first one of the words in the pasuk of Yiven is Rashi Tevos Usikati Yosef Malkum Nema, which Targum Yonasan explains that to mean that I appointed a trustworthy mishamash, a trustworthy servant in a standing place. This is referring to Yoakim, who's a servant in the Beis Hamikdash. And this is referring to Memshala. The servant is also a type of like a leader or appointed person that's appointed as a job, and that job is a type of Memshala. So we're saying this is referring to a type of Memshala. Not just a servant is obviously not just a servant. He also he could have, in this particular case, he has responsibilities and he has rulership to get his responsibilities done. So this is referring, the Yiven is referring to Memshala. Shir Kiyum. What does it mean by Kaim in an established place? It means that it should have a Kiyum. It should be established and it should be strong and standing. So the Yiven is referring to having an established rulership over the Malachim, we're going to say. Now, how do we do this? We do this through the Bechina of Tzela. The Tzela is Bechinas Chava. Em Kol Chai, Bechinas Kisei Kavod, Shorshei Neshamas. The Tzela, the rib, is what Chava was created from. And she was the mother of all that's living. So she was the root of all, she is the source of all the souls of the people. So this is the Shorshei Nishmas Yisrael. She is compared to Shorshei Nishmas Yisrael since she's the root. And she's also compared to the Kisei Kavod, since she's the root of all the neshamas of the people, and also the Kisei Kavod is the root of all the neshamas. That through holding on to the Shorshei Neshamas, which is Bechina Chava, so then a person could have the power to stand to be control Malachim. And this is what it means that he took it from Adam, meaning the higher Adam. As it says that there, on top of the Kisei Kavod, there's a Dmus, there's an image of an image of man, and this is where it was taken from. Pashtus, it's referring to the Chava was taken from Adam. So Chava, we said, is the source of the root of all the neshamas. So the source of where does that come from? That comes from the rib, which comes from the Adam Elyon, the Adam which is on top of the Kisei. So Kisei Kavod is Bechina of Chava, and on top of the Kisei Kavod is a Bechina of Adam, which is we're calling him now Adam Elyon because he's Adam on top of the Kisei Kavod. V'yiv'eh ela Adam, and now Hainu el Adam Atachton. This is Pashtus referring to the Adam Atachton, the regular person underneath the Kisei Kavod. Sha'idei zeh yesh koach la'Adam hatachton na'adam shalazu. And through this, an Adam Tachton, a regular person, or a human being, can have the power to stand over the Malachim, to rule over the Malachim, to be able to permanently stay in a state of ruling over the Malachim, and they won't be able to push a person down. And this is what Rav Amram Chasida said to the Malach. This is we finished the pasuk. We basically explained. Before we go on, we're just going to recap. V'yiven, we explained the pasuk. V'yiven Hashem Lakim es hatzela shalokach min Adam. And then I think the pasuk continues, says V'yeh el Adam. It's going to be the whole pasuk. A second. Right. Let's see. I don't think I have the whole pasuk here. No. Okay, so V'yiven, we said, is establishing proper rulership, standing rulership over the Malachim. So Hashem Elokim es hatzela, the tzela is referring to the Em Kol Chai, the mother of all that is living, which is Chava, which is also the Kisei Kavod. Shalokach min Adam, that was taken from Adam Elyon, which was taken from even above the Kisei Kavod, and through that a person is able to stand again. And it was brought v'yiv'eh el Adam, and it was brought to Adam Atachton. And when this is brought to Adam Atachton, meaning Chava, meaning the Kisei Kavod and Shosh Nishmas Yisrael, then a person holds on to that. Then he's able to stand over to will over Malachim. I don't know if we said this before, but there's a big inyan here. It's pretty clear, obvious, and Rav Nosson brings it down in the Kutei Halachos that in Hilchos Arev Halacha Hey, that a person needs to have tremendous amount of Avos Yisrael, one person to the next. He has to love every single Jew in order to bind himself to all the neshamas of Klal Yisrael. Because if he has kina or hatred towards other Jews, then automatically that would separate himself from that neshama. He would not be attached to the neshama of that Jew that he hates. And then, if he chas v'shalom, if he has sina, then he won't be able to attach himself to all of the neshamas of Yisrael. And if he doesn't attach himself to all of the neshamas of Yisrael, then obviously the angels won't find it too difficult to push him down if they want to. And the Rav Nosson says that all the persons, whenever a person tries to make an aliyah, tries to come close to Hashem, so it's the angels that push him down. And the angels that give him taivas, and the angels that give him all sorts of manias. And if it's the jealousy that causes them to want to hurt the person, to want to stop the person from coming close to Hashem. And if a person had Avos Yisrael and really did bind himself, as we're going to see later, through the Mufursamim, through the famous Rabbanim and Tzaddikim of the generation, if he's able to connect himself to all Klal Yisrael and love all Klal Yisrael, then he'll be bound together with the neshamas, and the Malachim will not have the ability to bring him down. So this is very important. This whole thing, Avos Yisrael, it's not just, we're not just speaking about spiritual connections with meditations on the source of all the Jewish neshamas. If a person hates another Jew, then it's going to be ma'akiv, it's going to stop him from being able to attach himself properly to all of the neshamas, all the neshamas of the Jewish people. Okay, now we're going to show a story, how all of this is very, very clearly inside a story in the Gemara Kedushin. And this is what Rav Chasidus said to the Malach, Ana bisur v'anta ish, ana diva manach. I am flesh and you are fire, and I'm better than you. So I'm going to tell the whole story, and then we're going to show how this fits in perfectly with these words of what Rav Alam says in the story. It fits in perfectly with the whole drasha that we gave so far about coming to be in charge of rule over Malachim, and who's better, and how we come to rule over Malachim. So Rav Am Chasida was a rabbi, apparently a rabbi in the time of Gemara, and there were once a bunch of women that probably came from somewhere close to where he was, and they were captured by Goyim, and the Jewish people redeemed these girls. They were girls. They didn't have a place for them, so they decided to put them in the house of Rav Am Chasida, and they put them in his attic, or the second floor. He had some kind of upper room, and the people decided that it would be a good place to keep them in the meanwhile. And what they did, one of the things that they did, probably in order to make it so it shouldn't be yichud, they shouldn't be secluded in his house with these girls, is they removed the ladder that's necessary to use to go up to the upper level. And this ladder was so heavy that 10 people wouldn't be able to lift it. If 10 people got together to try to lift it, it would be too heavy. So they figured that no problem, there's no way a single person would ever be able to lift it, and therefore it's not yichud. It would be totally fine to put the girls inside this attic. So Rav Am Chasida apparently was inside the living room, or inside the lower room, when one of the girls walked by the opening in the attic, and her face shone, her face glowed, and the light was so strong from her face that from Pashtus, the beauty or the spirituality or something that was a very intense experience, or intense light that actually came from her face, and it lit up the room underneath where Rav Am Chasida was. Rav Am saw this, saw her face, or saw the light that was emanating from it, and he had a desire to be with her, to actually have relations with her, and he went with the passion, or with the heat of this desire. He went and he lifted up this ladder, which 10 people would not be able to lift up, and put it in the right place to start walking up this ladder to ask to have relations with her. So as he was climbing up, obviously he realized this was not the right thing to be doing, and he took his feet and stamped down. He spread his feet a little bit and stamped down really strong with his feet, and he started screaming. As he was halfway up the ladder, he started screaming, "Fire in the house of Amram! Fire in the house of Amram!" He wanted everyone to come and to see what he was doing, and he'd be embarrassed of the people who were coming. He wouldn't do an avera. He wouldn't have relations with this girl if he was if everyone was coming into the house. So everyone started running into the house, and they looked at him and saw him on this halfway up this ladder, going to what would seem to was pretty obvious to everyone, trying to have relations, or trying to have some kind of connection with some of these girls up there, and he said to him, "You've embarrassed us. This is really embarrassing. All the rabbis in the whole neighborhood, everyone trying to come with their buckets of water to put out the fire, and he's standing there on the ladder going up to the girls, and he sensed them, and he said, it's just much better that I get my embarrassment in this world than we should be embarrassed in the world to come." So there's a lot of things to learn from this story. Now we're going to explain. So he turned around and he said this final statement. He made a shavua. He said some type of spiritual oath, a very strong oath that made the Yetzer Hara, or the malach that was inside of him, leave him. And it came out as a pillar of fire. Everyone saw the pillar of fire come out, and he turned to the pillar of fire, which was his Yetzer Hara, and he said to it, "I'm flesh, and you're fire. I'm better than you. So here the Rebbe is explaining what he meant by that. It's like a strange type of statement. But before we go into just to explain that point, there are a few points here in the story that the Rebbe speaks about and that people could misunderstand. One thing, very important thing, is what's going to be what's pshat with this story. What's a tzaddik goes and has girls in his house. Fine, I understand. There's a ladder that 10 people couldn't lift. I understand, but the tzaddik desires to have relations with a girl. It's like an avera that everyone knows that they shouldn't be doing. How could it be that a tzaddik, a real tzaddik? The Gemara says that everyone that's mentioned in the Gemara, it's brought down that everyone's mentioned in the Gemara is able to raise the dead. They had the power, the spiritual power to raise the dead. It doesn't make sense that a tzaddik like so big should still have a Yetzer Hara for women. It doesn't make sense. And the Rebbe explains that really these things are not really the way we understand them. We have, most of us at least, have a very simple Yetzer Hara for taivas for women, physical Yetzer Hara, and it's a physical animalistic Yetzer Hara. The tzaddikim don't have that b'chlal. Their Yetzer Hara is really a very, very holy thing. And their Yetzer Hara, even though it seems like they're doing very, very base things, it's not pashut. There's nothing really pashut about what they're doing. They're not doing it in the same passion of heat and passion of physical desire. They don't have that b'chlal. And still they have something that they're supposed to do better. They have something that they're supposed to overcome, but it's not physical desire. So none of these tzaddikim are doing these averas for physical desire because of a physically pretty woman. It's not something that's to be understood like that at all. Rather, they have inside of them something that's fighting against them. A mamasha, a malach, the Rebbe says, is a holy malach. And they're fighting inside them to try to get them to do certain things. And their job, these tzaddikim, their job is to overcome this malach. When they overcome this malach, so they're mamtik dinim and they're mamshich a lot of chasad into the world. And when they don't, chas v'shalom, so then they don't succeed in mamtik the dinim and the dinim, the judgments that are supposed to come to the world. They didn't purify, they didn't perfect, and then it's a problem for them in a sense, and it's a problem for us. So this is true with all the tzaddikim. They don't really have a desire to. They don't have bad midas the way we have. When Moshe Rabbeinu did get angry at the rock, he wasn't like, "Oh my gosh, what's going on here? The rock isn't spilling out water, so this is really upsetting because I already told the rock what to do and he's not listening to me. This makes me furious, And he doesn't get angry. He turn red in the face, pick up a stick and whack it from anger. It's very different. Often the Chumash speaks about it in that way, in a way that we can't understand. And there is a bechina, there's an aspect of anger that was there, but it's not anger mamash. It's not anger at all, and it's not anger in any way, shape, or form that we understand. Again, obviously, if the Torah says it, it's true, but not on our level, and not in our way. Nothing that we understand as anger has anything to do with what Moshe Rabbeinu did. If we were to get angry, and the way that Moshe Rabbeinu got angry, so to speak, we would be big tzaddikim. We would have very high levels of nevuah, because in order to understand or experience or do what Moshe Rabbeinu did with his anger, so we'd already have to be on very, very high levels. Those high levels that we'd have to be on to have anger of Moshe Rabbeinu are low levels for Moshe Rabbeinu, and Moshe Rabbeinu did not, was supposed to be or supposed to bring himself up to a higher madrega, and not to have this bechina, which is called in the pasuk anger. And it's also the same thing with the David HaMelech and Bathsheba. There was obviously, the Gemara says mafurish, there was no avera there. But even though Api Pshat, it goes in to explain why there was no avera as far as like technically there was no sin of HEC. She was a married woman and he was allowed to do it. But the Rebbe goes on to explain by all tzaddikim that they don't even have the Yetzer Hara. It wasn't that he shot an arrow in the story there. He shot an arrow and he's trying to shoot a bird, and it was really the Satan that dressed himself up, made himself look like a bird, and flew in front of David HaMelech. So David HaMelech should shoot this arrow, and this arrow went and across his palace and hit the neighboring the roof, a tarp that was on the neighboring building, and this tarp was covering a girl who was going to the mikvah in order to purify herself from nida. And when it hit the tarp, it ripped off the tarp, and David Melch was able to see this girl toveling going into the mikvah. And the Pasha shot in the Midrash in there is that he saw her and he desired her. She was a pretty girl and he wanted her. But this is Bichlal not, it can't be even Pasha shot in the Pasuk. David Melch said in Tehillim, it says, Libi chol b'kirbi, my heart is empty in its midst, and we're going to see this actually later on, this exact story. And it doesn't fit. It's not fitting for any tzaddik. No tzaddik has a Yetzer Hara anymore. They have actually worked on their Yetzer Hara until it just doesn't exist anymore. They could not be desire. They could not have a physical desire the way we understand it for women. It just can't be. It's something that's not physically possible, since they purified the Yetzer Hara in their heart so much that it had no control over them. So it can't be that they lost control. They saw something desirable and they lost control. So this is something that's true by all tzaddikim and also by Rav Amram Chasida here in the story. So in this particular story, you could come to explain that it's something a lot more spiritual and the desire here is something on a different level. And we see that it's not normal that girls don't walk down the street with their face shining, and that certainly not enough to shine up a room, even if there was such a thing. That we don't really understand these things, and this is what it clearly says in the Gemara that her face shone. Rashi says that Rashi's exact words: "Nafal nahora beipuma, nafal or bebeis derech pi'aliyah shahayu panei me'iros." The light fell down into the room, into the house, through the opening of the attic, because her face was shining. So this is very literally. This is to be taken. This is to be understood that there's something much more spiritual going on here. And this is what Avraham Chasida desired. But still, I'm sure that there was no. It's clear there was no avera, a physical avera that would have been done here with a non-married woman. It would have been something that could have been possibly mutter, or even if it wasn't mutter, it would have been something that he never would have done, or something that he had some kind of reasons about this. And it was something that was a very, very strong spiritual desire that he had. It was not a physical desire the way we understand. Okay, that's now we're just going to explain what was Rav Amram saying to his Yetzer Hara that left him, which was, again, the Rebbe says, was a Malach HaKadosh, was a holy Malach, and here came out as a pillar of fire, came out of him, actually left him. Apparently he overcame this Malach that was inside of him. And he turns to it and says, I am flesh and you're fire, I'm better than you. So the Rebbe says, Bisra is Rashi Tevos, Shishim Ribo B'Keres Echad. Bisra is Rashi Tevos, hinting to what Rav was referring to, the Rashi Tevos of Bisra. Bisra is referring to 600,000 in one stomach. This is often referring to Moshe Rabbeinu, was born 600,000 in. He was called all the neshamas, and when it says about him that he was 600,000 neshamas inside one stomach, inside his mother's stomach. So here it's referring to the fact that Dainu within the Shosh neshamas, all of the Shosh neshamas. Through him being Bisra, through Rav Amram being what he called Bisra, meaning being what he called connected to all of the 600,000 Jews, 600,000 neshamas. Through that, he had koach to rule over the Malachim, which is the meaning of the end of a statement, which is Anadif Menach, I am stronger, I am better than you. Since I am Bisra, since I am flesh, which is Bisra's Shishim Ribu B'Keres Echad, I am attached to all the 600,000 souls of Klal Yisrael. Through that, I'm Adif Menach. Through that, I'm stronger than you, because you're only an angel, and when I'm attached to all the Neshamas of Klal Yisrael, I'm going to be stronger than you. We should be zocha to all attach ourselves to all the Neshamas of Yisrael, and to be stronger than Malachim. The Malachim should have no power to push us down when we're trying to go up and serve Hashem, and we should be zocha to go up and up and up to rule over Malachim.